Hello, welcome back to Anime Chaos. I'm Kyle,
I'm Shy.
and today we'll be talking about Dagashi Kashi. It's a manga and anime series, been around for a good little while. It had 2 seasons, and so we'll be focusing on the anime. This particular series focuses on, at least for the first season, 5 characters, a father who owns a snack shop called a Dagashi shop. I believe it's called Shigeta Dagashi. And his son, who wants to be a manga artist, as well as his 2 friends, a set of twins, who run a very small little cafe, and a person who comes in, becomes their friend. She is the daughter of a major snack company, and she is trying to get the father to come and join their business. And in order for that to happen, the son has to take over the small snack shop. But he does not want to do that. He wants to be a manga artist. And so a deal is struck that if she can convince the boy to take over the snack shop and become the new snack shop owner, then the father will come and work for her company. And this series is really just a ton of fun. It is very fan servicey, so if you are not a fan service person, then this show is not going to be for you, because they do like to get just a little too fan servicey at times, but it's also not too bad. It's not serious. It's not constant. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's frequent enough to where it gets a little awkward at points. This particular show, though, if you can just completely look past the fan service, which I say absolutely try to, is really a ton of fun. It gives you some historical background into many of Japan's snack foods. Often it'll be a couple snack foods per whole episode, and it'll be broken up into 2 segments. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's just the one. It depends on the episode. What works so good about this whole series is not only do you get that little bit of history background, it is just these 5 characters in a very small backwoods town setting in Japan, where almost nothing happens, nothing significant ever seems to really take place, and it's just a very quiet, slow, relaxed lifestyle. And then in comes this character, Hotaru, who is very, very enthusiastic about all things snack foods, and is very eager and willing to take over her snack company in the future. And her love and obsession with snack foods is just palpable with the level of energy that comes forward. She absolutely just brings a lot of life, not only to this small town, but to these other 4 characters. And mind you, the dad in all of this, he's a lot of energy in his own right. Like, he gets very involved and excited about things. So you've got him, and then you've got Hotaru, both just being kind of a lot. So it can sometimes be too much, but because it's balanced out by the very relaxed nature of the other 3 characters, it really works very well, and so it's a lot of fun.
You don't become annoyed with the characters?
No, you don't. That's the beauty of it. You don't get annoyed by these characters because they have this beautiful balance where it is a lot of energy and then just a whole lot of relax, and it balances out beautifully. And it's fun. It's really an enjoyable first season specifically.
Emphasis on the first season.
Yes. Unfortunately, season 2 changes that dynamic, where Hotaru has to go away to take care of some business with her father's snack company, and she is not present for most of season 2. And that is to the detriment of the second season, because introduced is a woman who just graduated business school and comes to work for the small Dagashi shop to try to boost its popularity, its recognition, and to get it more advertisement and get more readily recognized by general public. And then across the literal river, Hotaru's brother comes in and opens a small convenience store literally right across from the Dagashi shop, and it creates this competition thing. It alters the dynamic, and it does not work. And in many ways, season 2 almost feels like it's non-canon, even though it is. It's canon. It's canon from the manga. Everything that takes place in this anime series, to my knowledge, is canon in the manga. But it goes from being just this fun, weird, enjoyable relaxing experience where by the time you're done with season 1, you actually just feel really happy and relaxed and just in good vibes, to season 2 basically almost bringing up like business school. And that kind of just sucks all the fun out of season 2 for me. So I don't like season 2 at all, but I love season 1. And unfortunately, as of the recording of this particular video, season 2 is the one that you can readily find on streaming services. And season 1 is almost impossible to find anywhere, dubbed or subbed, to the point to where...
Here's my thing is, if there is a place to watch it, because like I said, I have not really watched it. I've had it on my list to watch, but when I clicked on it to go to season 1 first, or just to see it, I couldn't find it nowhere. And so I took it off my watch list. I'm like, this is season 2. I'm not even seen season 1. I don't want to watch season 2, not the first season, because it does have the animation to where it looked interesting enough for me to at least click on it the first time. Because how I am with a lot of anime is, you know, you judging it.
Look good.
Yeah, you judge it by how it looks at first before you find out anything else. Now, granted, I have been wrong on some animes where I have been like, that don't look interesting to me. For me, like, it looks like it's too much drama or something. And then people post little clippets on YouTube or on TikTok. And I'm like, oh, well, that looked interesting. What anime was that? And I'm like, oh, that's the one that I completely said it's not interesting to me. And then you put it in your thing and you watch it. So for me, it looked interesting. It looked like a kind of like no-brainer, but still interesting and fun. But it only had season 2. I couldn't find season 1 on there because, again, at the time I was going through a lot of animes that dealt with like convenience stores and like little shops and like
it seemed to be a thing there for a little while.
Yeah, so I was interested. I still technically am, but I'm still in my isekai phase. So I still like that. So I was going to watch it, but then it only had season 2, and I was like, I don't want to watch out of season.
Context of season 1.
Yeah, I don't want to watch them out of order.
And here's the thing. You can get like a DVD or Blu-ray copy online of season 1 and of season 2 if you want to do both. But to my knowledge, they're only available in the Japanese with the English sub, which is fine if you like that. But let me just say that the phenomenal selection of English voice actors that they chose for these 5 characters in season 1 that carried over into season 2 was just the most superb voice casting. They absolutely picked the right people for the right characters, and it was perfection for season 1.
My thing too is like voice actors, whether it's here's my thing. There's a spectrum of, oh, if you watch dub or you watch sub, listen, it's called attention span. Which one's going to hold my attention?
Right.
Do I have the patience to sit here? And which I do. My eyes gotten really good at doing this whole back and forth thing with watching subbed. But it also depends on the voice actor. If you got a good dubbed voice actor, it can really make or break a show.
Absolutely. But
it goes both ways. If you don't got a good Japanese voice actor, it can make or break a show for me. Like I'm immediately just like, I don't like this character. Even if it's the main character, you get on my nerves just purely because the voice actor or actress that they picked to talk for them.
Oh yeah, so I can think of one character in particular. Do you remember Black Clover? Did you ever watch Black Clover?
I did. I stopped it because he said it didn't finish.
Oh well,
which is sad because I know you don't like Black Clover.
Oh, I can't stand Black Clover. And the issue for me is because I started watching it first in sub, and his voice actor was too much. So
his character is much, though.
His character is too much. But because his voice actor went too much, it made me absolutely hate the character. It made me absolutely hate the show. And so I did give the dub a shot. And to their credit, they listened to the fact that everybody was complaining and saying, this is way too loud, way too much, way too no. And they went with a more reserved, but still high energy voice role.
Again, that can mess it up too. If you have a character that, like, let's say Naruto, for example, who's yelly a lot, and if you don't get a character that can match that energy, like if we know he's in pain and you can see it on his face, and I sometimes bounce back and forth between sub and dub just to see how that particular scene was played out, and if the sub actor really gave me what I was seeing, and then I go to the dub character, and I'm just like, it's lacking. Now, I'm not saying the Naruto character, they did their thing.
Oh, they
but
did
I'm just saying, like
a
character, like a character like that, when you have them either high spirited, or if they're going to something really detrimental, you need the voice actor to meet that. I've seen, I can't on top of my head, I can't think of one, but there was one where I did that, went back and forth, and I watched the sub, and I was like, okay, this actor is giving what this character is going through. Like this person is blood curdling, screaming, and is in pain, and they're giving that. And then I went back to the dub, and it was like lackluster, and I was like, you're not portraying, you're not portraying what's really going on with this character. So it can go both ways. It can make or break a voice actor for me. So, and I like when they get to keep the same actors from one season to another. So like when you said with this one, they kept the same actor, so it's not the actor's problem. It wasn't that wasn't the problem.
Storytelling.
It was just the story for it. And again,
storytelling.
For some reason, I feel like they kind of lose plot, or you get somebody different. And they're like, oh, we want to do this. That's fine to add something new to it and keep it fresh, but also
keep the spirit of what was there.
Yeah, because I think I was watching. I think it's called like God's Blessing or something. It's the isekai one. I think they had season 2. I hope they get another season just because it's a really good feel good anime for me, and it's kind of slice of life. Like you see them building their world, you see them building their store, and because he has slimes, and so he has like a laundromat situation going on. Okay, they have enough of a protagonist element to it to where it keeps you interesting, but it doesn't draw on and on to where you're just like, okay, can we go back to this feel good? I was watching you clean my laundry. Like, can we go back to that? Like, can we go back to that? So they do it so well to where you still, from season 1, you still get the plot of what the whole purpose of what he was doing, with a little bit of spice added here, but not enough to where it drowns out everything else. And they're adding new characters, and those characters have their own issues, but it's not so much just like it takes over everything. Like you solve the problem. It's not one of those animes where they completely ignore the problem at hand. Yeah, and you're just kind of sitting there going, wait, are we not gonna? Okay, I guess we're not gonna address that problem that happened before. So it can make or break an anime. And again, it's hard to get into a new anime, even though this one's old. This was in 2016. But you only had one season. I mean, you only have one season uploaded, and it's season 2. You don't even have the first season uploaded. So it was like, I couldn't compare because I haven't seen season 1. And so therefore I have not seen season 2 of it. But the art style, you can very well see the difference. And it looks a little flat. But again, when you were talking about fan service, I'm not a big fan service person.
I don't mind it if it's not too much, but just don't make it too much. Like, look at High School DxD, fan servicey, but it has a great story. Yeah,
it's done in a way with High School DxD. When I first watched it, I said, "What is this?" But
and then you suggested it to me.
Yeah, and I told you, I was like, "Oh, you got to watch this. It's actually really good." And I told you, I was like, "It's fan servicey." But it's done in a way that's like
it follows with the story, so it's
not random.
It's never the focus.
Yeah, it doesn't feel so random. This is purely. It feels like this is just this guy's character.
Yeah, it was worked into the plot.
It's his personality.
And it made sense.
Yeah, and it was done in a way that it didn't feel sleazy, but it felt like he was doing his whole premise from the first episode, I believe, was he wanted a harem. So you already knew what he was about from the jump. Yeah. So you knew what his personality was based off of. He just wanted a harem of girls. But it was done in a way that it didn't feel sleazy and not so uncomfortable to where you're still watching. You're just like, okay, but...
And because you knew through the entire thing that consent was given.
Through the whole... Exactly. It wasn't one of those weird, creepy ones where the girl or guy, because it happens both ways, because it could be guy or girl. It's just like, oh, no. And you're like, okay, that's harassment. Now, granted, in real life in general, all of that's harassment.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's done in a way where it's like, that's just his personality, but it wasn't the full focal point. Like, it had a good story.
And it had a great overarching story. And I don't think it's even finished. Like, they've had 4 seasons for High School DxD, and I don't think it's even been finished. They just haven't made season 5 yet.
Yeah, I need them to, because we all know who his main wife is going to be, Big Red, right? We all know that's his main wife. When she's about to get married to that one guy, and he goes, "You're not getting," and then he comes back in when him and the dragons.
Yeah.
So, and it alludes to in the anime when he takes her away, that he basically already had the blessing of the brother and their parents, especially the mom, because the mom was already trying to set their wedding up, and she's like, "Mom, stop." So he's already got the respect of the demons, the higher ups, and her family. So it's just a matter of going on with it. So I'm saying his main first wife will be her, because that's the one. I mean, he fights for all the girls, but he fights the hardest for her, in a sense, as you should. But I mean, that's another thought process for anything. It's a lot of them that kind of the voice, and they changed the voice actors. I don't really care for that, but it's so subtle that you don't really notice. But
in that case, though, there was a couple instances where it couldn't be helped. Like in the case of the main boy's voice actor, his voice actor got arrested.
Yeah.
And for one of the girls' voice actors,
the nun?
No, not the nun.
They changed her voice.
No, they didn't. No, it was the
The cat?
No, it was the long black hair priestess whose voice actor changed. And the reason her voice actor changed, to my knowledge, was because her voice actor more or less retired due to just not being able to make a living off of it.
Which is so sad. Like,
it is sad.
Voice actors put so much time and energy on both sides, dubbed or sub. They put so much time and strain on their voices. They should get paid what actors get paid.
Right.
Like it's you're not just sitting in a booth and just yakking. Like they're doing the motions, they're doing the facial expressions, they're really getting into it like anybody else. But again, I don't think some people understand. Like people in the anime community understand. It's one of those, like, it's the bread and butter unless of this anime, this manga coming to life. You got to get the right people for the right job. And some people are amazing voice actors, so their resume is a mile long. You can wrap it around the world because they're just so good. So some of them, it is sustainable. And some of them, it's not, unfortunately, and it's a struggle. Even though they're great at what they do, they just can't seem to get the job. They find someone else, or they already have somebody else in mind, and so therefore they just completely disregard someone else. But for me, it really makes or breaks an anime. Like with High School DxD. Yeah, when I found the voice actor was changed, I still watched season 2, but I was like, it's not so much of a big change that I could ignore it.
They did the job of finding a voice actor who sounded similar, and that's what
saved it really for me.
Yes, that was the most ideal situation. And then they did the same thing with the priestess voice actor. Like they did an okay. They didn't.
You said the black hair girl. I'm talking about the dominatrix girl that likes to shock you with lightning.
Yes, that's her.
Okay.
They did an okay job with finding a similar sounding voice actor, but she didn't have the same nuances
as the first one,
because the first one knew how to play it up as like this, oh, hi, sweetie, sort of situation.
I'm going to kill you with a smile on my face.
Basically. Whereas this other one just sounded a little more rough around the edges, and as a result, you don't get that same exact vibe, but it's not off.
And it's just as hard.
As good.
It's just as hard for them because they're coming in with a character that's already
worse for them sometimes.
Yeah, because I'm having to come in to continue with a character that's already had a great
reputation.
Yeah. And so now I'm having to try to pick up that and do just as good, if not better, but still keep that same thing. So yeah, I think it was the first episode of season 2, and I heard his voice, I went, that don't sound right. Like something's not right.
Yeah, but you almost couldn't tell. Like it was almost indistinguishable. That's how good the voice actor switch was. And then you got used to it as the season.
Yeah, and then it kind of just blended in after that. But that first season, I think they're getting ready to go to the underworld for something, and he said something, and I went, that sounds off to me. Like it's like you were trying to keep the same vibe, but it just sounded off. And I looked it up, and I was like, okay, you got a different voice actor. But like Kyle said, the more you watch it, you kind of just it blends in. It was so well done that it blends in. Again, it comes down, again, going back to what this episode is about, it comes down to planning. And yes, you kept the voice actors, which is great. I love seeing that. But the art style, I don't know if it was dramatic or not, because like I said, I didn't watch it.
The season 1 had a nice, soft art style that suited the series because it was very playful. It was very fun for Dagashi Kashi. It is very, very silly. It's absolutely ridiculous in all the most fun ways possible. And again, if you can look past fan service, which I say try to, then you're going to be in for a fun time if you can find season 1. Season 2, they got a different animation company. While the first animation company still got some credit, they got a different animation company for season 2. And the art style is only slightly different, but it's like that uncanny valley of something is off, and it takes you a second to realize that something is off. And then it clicks, and then you say, what just happened? This is not correct. Made worse by the fact that season 1 had a consistent episode runtime, and season 2 was erratic. Season 1 would have episodes spanning usually about 20 minutes. Season 2 sometimes had episodes spanning anywhere from 11 minutes to, I think, its final episode being almost 25 or right at 25 or something to that effect. It doesn't work. It doesn't work when basically it feels like they somehow didn't have enough content at times, in addition to the change of dynamic, because Hotaru, being the main focal character for this series and being that energy and that bright spot that brings a lot of life, her not being present for most of season 2 takes a lot of that away, to the point to where you walk away from an episode of season 2 and you honestly sometimes feel worse for watching it because it wasn't entertaining.
So maybe if they'd have made the episodes the same length as season 1, her being gone wouldn't have been as long. Would that have helped it?
Maybe. Because the thing of it is that there were times when an episode could have been 11 minutes long, and because it wasn't the least bit entertaining, it dragged on. And the thing about Hotaru is she brought so much bright spirit that you could watch a 20-something minute episode in season 1 and feel like you were just there for 3 minutes, and all of a sudden, where did this episode come to an end? Because that's how enjoyable it was. You didn't realize how quickly time was flying by. Season 2 had episodes where I was sitting there looking at the clock and being like, why is this taking so long to reach its endpoint? And why am I not enjoying myself?
Yeah, that's not really a good thing.
No, it's not.
When you are just like, okay, this episode
is this episode over yet? Because I need it to be over because I'm not
enjoying myself. Well, I mean, that was me pretty much this first half of watching Slime. I was just like, is this episode over with yet? Like, I was nodding off. But that's just because of how they decided to take this route. But granted, people have been saying that's how the manga is. But it's just like, but I've seen a lot of world buildings that didn't have to do this.
And honestly, there are times where sometimes you can take what's there in a manga and keep the spirit of it, but then add to it to make it better. Because with animation, you've got the ability to take what's there and then just make it incredible at times.
As long as you're not taking away the essence from it.
As long as you don't take away the essence from it.
Yeah. And so I don't know if this show is a manga or not. Is it a manga?
Which one?
The one we were talking about.
Dagashi Kashi?
Yeah.
Yes, it is a manga.
It could be if they're following the manga. Is it following the manga? Because that's where...
I did my research. It is following the manga. The first season followed the first 6 volumes, and then season 2 took volumes 7 through 12.
So it's following the manga.
It is following the manga.
Yeah. It's just,
It was just such a stark contrast to the point to where you're like, what is happening? Why is this so drastically different tonally? What happened?
Well,
and then you realize what happened.
If it's the same thing, if it's the same thing like how with Slime is going, I think we're in season 3. Yes, maybe so.
I don't know. I haven't.
It's season 3.
After season 1, I didn't watch any more Slime. So
we're in season 3. Season 1 and 2, world building, introducing your characters. La 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 la. Now we're into season 3 where you're introducing to more characters. I heard this is the last season, but the way it's going, it might need another season because it's moving, but not enough.
It's moving at a glacial pace.
Yeah. So it's following the manga, they said, with all these meetings, and we were just sitting there for, 25-something minutes, just staring at them talking.
But if it's not interesting, zhuzh it up a little bit and make it a little more interesting, please.
Yeah, or I'm very much one of those, like, when you're watching a show, and you know who the villain is, and the main character don't know who the villain is.
And you're sitting here yelling at them, why don't you know this? Yeah, you're
stressed. Because, like, right now, it's getting good, because now we're getting to the festival and everything, but it's like, I'm stressed, because I'm like, we know who the villain is, but the character doesn't know who the villain is, and you're just yakking your mouth with them, and I'm just like, shut up, stop talking. So it's one of those, like, the first half of Slime was meetings. I wanted to sleep. I actually wanted to skip episodes.
Maybe that's why I couldn't get into it.
No, the first season 1 and 2 was fine. It's just this season. And then you had when they was going to fight, and then that was the time I was like, okay, how about we don't fight, actually talk? Because stuff would get done for real this time if you just talked. So it was a weird dynamic with Slime because it was one of those, like, the first 6, 7, 8 episodes was just meetings, recaps, meetings. And then when they finally got, like, people were coming together to talk, but they weren't really coming together to talk. They were coming to fight. And that was the time we were just like, okay, don't fight, actually talk. So it was a weird dynamic. I started laughing. So I was like, now I don't want y'all to fight. I want you to actually talk because the real villain is literally right there. Stop being stupid. Let's talk. And of course, they had to give you a little fight scene.
You know what I hate is when a series seems like it somehow doesn't have enough information for a whole episode. So the first 10 minutes are somehow an entire recap of everything you just finished watching, and you're like...
One Piece does that.
One Piece does do that.
But they do it a lot.
They do it a lot.
Like,
and for no good reason.
The first 2 minutes, nothing but recap. I'm like, this first 2 minutes...
2 minutes? Sometimes it's almost half the episode.
Well, because the intro of itself, the musical intro is long enough as a whole.
Dragon Ball Z did it too.
So it's like, One Piece does that a lot, where it's like, recap. I don't need to...
I don't need a recap for the thing I literally just watched, especially in streaming live.
Yeah, streaming, which is why I love that skip recap option now. I just would like to skip it. Now, granted, I'm watching a new anime and it says skip recap. I'm like, the anime is literally first episode. What am I skipping? I don't want to skip nothing. I don't know nothing about it. Yeah, so, but again, if anyone wants to watch the show, if you can find season 1,
please
good luck.
Please watch it if you can find season 1, and good luck in finding season 1, but watch it. Go entertain yourself. It's absolutely a ton of fun, and I don't think we've even really gone nearly in depth enough on this. The thing about this entire series is just that it is a vibe. It is an absolute vibe. It is relaxed. It is chill. It makes you feel good. It's a little cringy at times because of the amount of fan service that it gets just a little too much. But then you get phenomenal history into Japan's snack foods, and you're like, well, now I'm hungry and I want to try all of it. Yes, please. Thank you. And they make it look like fun, and they make it sound like fun. And the character dynamics are fantastic. Hands down, by far, Tabitha Ray is the best voice actor in the entire set of 5 for season 1. She's the one who voices Hotaru, and she was the most perfect pick you could have had for this character, because she already has kind of an interesting accent about her where it's a little kind of nasally, sort of. And for those of you who have ever watched Fairy Tail and watched the arc where Lucy had to find the keys to this like world globe thing that could end the world, Tabitha Ray voiced the character of the doll. And so if you've ever seen that particular arc of Fairy Tail, you know what Tabitha Ray sounds like. And so you can take that and put that voice to Hotaru, and you can really see where the fun was. She had fun voicing the character. They all had fun voicing their characters. And that's another thing too, is if your voice actor is having fun voicing their characters, they're going to bring out their absolute best work by far. And these 5, they had fun. They had a ton of fun. They got in there and it's like they just clicked with their characters. They vibed out and they had fun with it. And so you hear it in their voice work. And so I love the dub voice work even more so than the sub work. Like, sure, sub work's great. It is. But the English voice actors, they had so much fun with their characters that it worked. And even for season 2, the voice actors did a phenomenal job. So it wasn't the voice actors for the characters. It was literally the characters themselves in season 2 where the whole vibe just took a dump, basically. And it
so
went off.
Did it not no longer focus on the snacks and the history, but just more the business side of it?
It did somewhat on the snack foods, but not as much as it did season 1. And you're right, it did go a little bit more into the business side of things. And by its very nature, depending on who you are, business can either be very exciting or extremely boring. It was boring. That was really the worst part of it. The worst thing you can do with any sort of anything visual is be boring. And so season 2 for me was very, very boring. That's why there were episodes that, even though they weren't as long as some of the episodes of season 1, felt like they dragged for hours because they were boring. The characters were not engaging enough. The character dynamics were not working enough. But with season 1, you honestly felt like you just invited a group of friends into your house and you were just having a slumber party almost every episode. It was fun. It was ridiculous. It was silly. And you kind of felt like you got transported into this small town and were just invited to just stay for a while. It was great.
So basically, to sum it up, is like the first season felt welcoming. Mm-hmm. The second season felt stifling.
Yes.
And so it didn't feel as welcoming. And I guess it
almost felt like they were shoving you away and saying, get lost in season 2.
It's kind of one of those, like, it's about snacks. So again, season 1 or season 2, it's about a preference.
Yep.
How do you prefer it? But not straying too far away from the main plot. So if you're going more into like a couple animes that I'm watching, you start straying away a little too far. I'm like, okay, can we get back to it just a little bit? Don't just give me like a taste of like, we still know that this is what it's about. Put it over here. How about no, we focus on this and then just give us tidbits of that. Mm-hmm. So I think it just kind of depends on your preference. By all means, give it a shot. Watch both. If you can find season 1, if you're the type like me, I have to watch the first season for the second season, because sometimes if it carries over to the second season and you just jump to the second season, you're completely lost. So if you can find it, I would recommend, I guess, checking it out for yourself. Like, again, like I said, fan service for me, if it's just weirdly placed or it's just a bit too much and it's like,
weirdly placed.
Yeah, if it's just weirdly placed, like, was that necessary? Like, that's how my brain will go. It's like, was that necessary to do?
Necessary to do that?
Yeah, I mean, even there's some anime that I've watched where the fan service, I was just like,
well, think about it kind of like Food Wars. Like, it was fan servicey as hell, but it worked within what they were using it for, which was to describe the feeling of the food that these people were eating. So it worked in the context of the show, whether or not some people agreed or not. Basically, for this series, enjoy it, watch it, have fun with it. It's really just weird, ridiculous, and silly. You get a little bit of fun history facts in terms of snack foods, whether or not they're fully the actual snack foods names or if they've been changed a little bit. I don't know what Japan's advertising laws are. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's really weird and silly, but it works wonderfully. And so watch season 1 if you can find it. Probably ignore season 2 because it's really not great. But I mean, if you can enjoy season 2, go for it. It just wasn't for me. I didn't care for it. But the series is in and of itself a joy, and you wind up really walking away from it feeling good. So that's all I really have to say on Dagashi Kashi.
And I pretty much said everything I needed to say on it. Because again, like I said, I'm coming at it as a person who didn't watch either season because I couldn't find season 1. So we'll catch you in the next episode. Like, subscribe. I'm Chai.
I'm Kyle.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Later.
Bye.